Hey, it's Biddy Penny. Welcome back to my channel. And that's right, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I have this older paper pad here. It's from Tuesday morning. I got it last year, but it is a 2017 paper pad. And I like the paper pad, obviously. I did buy it, but there are a few sheets, and I've actually used these recently, but I just wasn't crazy about them. So I wanted to show you some ideas. I came up with 10 ideas that you can use pattern paper for if you think it's not so pretty. Now, I also brought in another sheet because this was double-sided and I wanted a single-sided sheet because all of my ideas you can do with single-sided sheets. This was just the one I had handy, this paper pad, and I knew there were some patterns in there I wasn't crazy about. So the first thing is we can strengthen thinner paper. So if you subscribe to Spellbinders or you buy their paper pads from the kits separately, you'll know that their paper is basically like copy paper weight. So I'd say like 20 pound. And maybe you want to do some special projects or you just want to strengthen this paper or any others. This is a great way to do it. So basically, of course, with a 12 by 12 sheet, you can get 4 sheets of 6 by 6 paper. So I'm just going to trim this down to 6 by 6. I kind of struggle with this cutting board. I never know exactly where I'm supposed to cut things. I haven't figured that out yet. Now, I did this intentionally to show you guys this lighter paper. If you were to just take glue and put it around all 4 edges and adhere this down, yes, it will stick. That's not an issue. But if you need to bend or fold it, it's going to ripple anywhere where the tape is not adhered. Now, I'm going to bring this up to the camera and I'm going to show y'all one other time too what that looks like. If you're doing this technique, I would just highly recommend taking a very thin bead of glue around. Now, I kind of did, I wanted to make sure it was covered in all spaces, so I went all the way around in squares. I just kept going in. This is number 2. This is gesso, stamps, and stencils. So I brought in some white gesso. So gesso can come in clear and white. I don't know about other colors. Those are the only 2 I know. I'm going to squeeze a little out. Now, I didn't want to mess with a paintbrush today, so I just grabbed a paper towel. And I'm just going to smear this over the top. I'm going to try to get a thin coat because I do want a little bit of that pattern to show through. I just want to knock back this really bright pink, which is a beautiful pink. Now, I knew when I was picking my papers today that some people are going to be like, oh, I love those papers, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? All right, so now I'm using the gesso with a stencil. And again, just with my paper towel, but I'm having a lighter touch here so that the raised parts are kept and I'm not digging in too deep in that stencil. Now I'm going to have to set these aside to dry, but I will be revisiting them with you. Okay, another idea is dry embossing. So I brought in an embossing folder and I just embossed this paper so that I could use it on a card front. How about a matting layer? So, maybe the overall pattern is just a little too busy, bright, wild for your style. It might make a great matting layer. So I just put some on a card base here. And then I'm going to put this embossed piece on top, and I ripped it, but I'm not even worried about that. So I'm just going to show you, we just press on. It's so funny, I wasn't planning on making any cards in this video today, but if you're in my craft room for any time at all, there's going to be a card made, whether that's the plan or not. So, you know, this paper over here that I'm using, this rainbow dot paper, it's an American crafts paper. So if you get like the Maggie Holmes or Amy Tangerine or Dear Lizzie, all those different ones, that's the kind of weight of paper that was, just in case you're curious. How about making envelopes? So I'm going to make an envelope here that will go with a card we just made. And then when somebody opens it, they'll just see that pattern there at the top that matches their card. Now here, because of the type of envelope I'm making, it should have been wider. My bad. I would cut this at a 6 if I had it to do over again. I think I was just shy of it. I was talking to my husband about gardening and not paying attention as closely as I should have been right here. That's just the truth. Now, this is the most simple envelope I know how to make. And I do have an envelope punch board, but I don't enjoy using it, just to be honest, because I've never mastered it. I think they're wonderful, obviously. I have one, but I don't know. I can make them like this, and they work. It folds over a card, and it mails. So this is how I do it. I just didn't do it great in this video. So there you go. I'm going to put this in there, even though it was a little tight. And voila, envelope ready to go. Die cutting. How about intricate dies? So, again, maybe the pattern is just too busy, too bright, whatever it is that's not appealing to you. Maybe you can bring out some intricate dies and die cut it. I kind of like the results I got from this, but even then it still was a little busy for me, but I'm going to show you what we came out with here. And, you could also, if you don't have intricate dies, you could still die cut, hearts, shapes, stars, whatever you want. But that is just another idea for it. So since this one was double-sided, I played around here just for a second because this die is just so cool. So yeah, you could, switch it up lots of different ways. But that's what I got with this. And I do end up using parts of this to make a card because there's 2 more cards coming up. How about putting vellum over it? I always find that vellum really knocks something back when it's just a little too much for me. And then I would probably put like other things on top of it. I have a little piece here, so I'm going to show y'all. This is a pearlized vellum. And so, you could put that on a card base, put some die cuts over it. Maybe that helps. So there's a trick for you. 8, cut sentiment strips. So this is the piece of paper I had after I made my envelope, and I just decided to cut it down to 3/4 of an inch strips. And then I have some sentiment strips ready to go. Now, I always have sentiment strips ready to go from the way I get my paper cut, but maybe you don't. So here's another idea, like the front pattern is just too hideous or not what you want. Make it work for you. Okay, still, none of these are appealing. I understand. How about cutting it up? I took these scraps. I had some scraps in my scrap box because, well, it's all in the name. And I am going to make a 6x6 paper pack of just random pieces, and I'll probably throw in a couple of 2-inch strips. Now, I wouldn't give them all stinkers. And I say that because their favorite piece might be your least favorite piece, right? But I'm going to throw in like some solid color paper and just papers from different collections, which might be tricky for them to use, but I'm sure they'll be happy to have it in their stash. And like you know, summer's coming eventually, so why not throw in some pineapples and flip-flops? I just added it all. Here we go. And now I have a small little gift. They mail really inexpensively if you use like a manila envelope and keep it pretty flat. Me and my daughter have a joke that the post office likes flat, not fat. So you got to keep it flat, not fat, or else you'll pay. All right. I wanted to continue and pick back up with the gesso idea. So I brought in a very intricate stamp. And the reason I did this is because I'm not coloring. So I love really intricate stamps when I just want to keep them black and white or not colored. Now, I do love coloring this one too. I have a picture on my Instagram account of a tent card I made with this, and I colored it up and it's gorgeous. But when I'm not planning on coloring, intricate stamps are great too. All right, so for that one, I just stamped on it. And it is on gesso, it takes a long time to dry, just so you know. All right, here we go. Ink blending, which I really loved how this came out. You do have to think about what colors you're putting on top, because, you know, you could come out with another stinker if you don't watch out. So this one gave me some purple hues, which I really liked. I love the blue. I love how it brings out the definition of the stencil and the gesso and the raised parts. Now I really am pleased with this sheet of paper. And so, of course, I'm just going to make a card here real quick. And I had fussy cut out this bird from the paper pack. Y'all might have seen it when I flipped through it real quick, but there was 2 sheets of ephemera that you could fussy cut out. So I just cut that out real quick. And even though I distorted the color of this page that came in the same paper pack, it all still looks good together. And I'm just adding a quick sentiment down here. And just like that, I have another birthday card in my stash. Okay, so let's review the first 9. So we strengthened some paper. That was fun. And I'm going to bring this up. I want you to see the bends in the paper from when you tape it. Now, if you went hog wild, I don't know how else to say it, full Monty, and put tape adhesive all over the page, yes, it probably wouldn't do that. But I really find that the wet glue will give you a better results. Now, don't go crazy with glue either, because this thinner paper will show your glue lines. So just, you know, use a fine tip if you have one. All right, and then we did the gesso and the stamping and the stencil work on the paper and made it something that was beautiful to us. We embossed and used the white side of the paper. We made paper layering, so that was fun, you know. And we made an envelope. And I'm showing you there. It just needs to be a little bit bigger if you're going to make it like this. So we made a paper pack for a friend. I'm going to put that in an Etsy order. And now, oh, sorry, make die cuts. And those are punches. So maybe you don't have a die cutting machine, but you have a ton of punches. I want to bring those in. You could definitely punch out shapes, whatever. I got some ink on there because it wasn't dry yet. Okay, number 10. I left this one last because I know this won't maybe appeal to everyone, but I need to finish constructing this junk journal. I brought in 3 sheets I was not crazy about. They came as a gift and I was very grateful, and I didn't want to just throw them out. However, I just didn't see, this is the other sheet, I didn't see myself using them in cards, but I thought about them when I was making this junk journal, and I thought the soft colors went really well with the junk journal, and they just blend so beautifully with the paper selections that I had made. And they're not great in my opinion. They just weren't what I wanted for cards, but now they're in my junk journal. So I think that is so much fun. So there's another idea. Sometimes it's the scale at which we'll use something. Like those I thought worked great in this journal, but I didn't want to use them for card making. If you have a jelly plate, you could use, and it's a single-sided paper, you could use the white side of your paper to do pools. Or you can jelly print on top of the printed pattern. So this one here has lots of color, but if you did this mono printing, which this is one I did with my children, I have a video on my channel if you want to go back and check it out, but I used a speedball and I did mono printing with my kids, and you could do that on top of a patterned paper. So there's really a lot of ideas. Or chop it and give it away, donate to a school, a church, but you don't have to throw it away. But you can, and I'm not judging. Whatever you like. I hope this gives you lots of ideas and that you enjoyed this video. And I hope you'll subscribe and come back for more. All right. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.